one of the most inhospitable places on Earth became the ultimate symbol of luxury and technology. How did that happen? In 1971, 7 Emirates decided to turn sand into the future, and they achieved the impossible. But what few people know is that beneath that sand still lie secrets as old as civilization itself. In the heart of the desert, the Liwa Oasis seems like a miracle, a green necklace surrounded by dunes that move like golden waves. Yet what sustains this oasis isn't a river or a living spring, but a fossilized aquifer, a relic from a time when the Rub al Khali Desert received rains that now feel mythical. This water, around 9,000 years old, is like a natural vault buried beneath the desert, precious but finite. As the sun scorches the sand and the wind carries the dust, dozens of villages depend on this ancient reserve. The government is trying to turn back nature's clock by pumping desalinated water to replenish what has been lost. It's a noble effort, but also a reminder that even engineering has limits against time. And when the ground gives back less than what it's asked for, one question lingers: how long can a city survive when it drinks from the past? Amid this dilemma, the Liwa Oasis becomes more than a point on the map. It's the living symbol of the UAE hidden geography, where past and future collide under the same sun. Every drop drawn from this fossilized aquifer is an echo of prehistory, a silent testimony of the United Arab Emirates, geography shaped by scarcity. And as the desert watches, a new doubt rises on the horizon. Can humanity rebuild the balance that nature once abandoned? Across the endless sands between the Emirates and Saudi Arabia, the line dividing the two nations isn't made of walls, but of memories and disputes. The so-called Jeddah Treaty was born from a conversation, not a consensus, a verbal agreement that over time became a minefield of interpretations. On maps, that border floats like a mirage, shifting between 5 and 15 miles. And within that narrow strip of land lie immeasurable riches, the UAE oil fields such as Sheba, where every drop is worth more than gold. The problem is that when a pen misses a line, power changes hands. The United Arab Emirates geography shows that the political map of the desert has never been static. It breathes, moves, and rewrites itself with the winds of interest. A simple translation error became a silent dispute between powerful neighbors. The question persists: was it an innocent mistake or a perfectly calculated strategic move? And while modern satellites map every grain of sand, the echo of a treaty that never existed still resonates among the dunes. It's a reminder that in the Middle East, borders are more ideas than lines. But what happens when those ideas touch the underground, where oil still pulses? Could the next geopolitical secret be hidden deep within the Arabian Desert secrets? Along the Emirati coast, the blue of the Persian Gulf hides a quiet morning. For decades, the seagrass, meadows, and mangroves of Kerm formed the green lungs of the sea, a refuge for turtles, fish, and even sharks. But the extreme heat and the El Niño of 1998 changed everything. Temperatures rose so high that the corals, unable to withstand it, simply gave up. In just a few weeks, the sea that once teemed with life turned into a white cemetery, a fragile testimony of the UAE hidden geography. When nature retreats, humanity tries to fill the void. Scientists and engineers began one of the Gulf's most ambitious projects: rebuilding the lost reefs. Using artificial structures and coral species genetically resistant to heat, they strive to restore the balance the sea forgot. It's the perfect irony. The same engineering that once helped devastate the environment now works to save it. Like or save this insight if you believe technology and nature can still coexist. But the question that lingers above the waves runs deeper. What if the marine future of the Emirates depends not only on science, but on awareness? Between the metallic gleam of ships and the silence of reefs lies a new frontier, where the UAE coral reefs restoration becomes a symbol of hope. And perhaps, in the depths of this recovering sea, lies the reflection of a new way of living within the Arabian Desert secrets. When the first jet of oil burst from the sand, The Emirates were still a cluster of small villages surrounded by dunes and wind. In just a few decades, that thick liquid, the black gold, transformed a tribal economy into a modern empire. The UAE oil fields of Zakum, Amshaf, Buhasa, and Habshon became the beating heart of its wealth. Think about this. Only 0.05% of the Earth's surface holds 6% of all the planet's oil, a paradox of abundance in the middle of nothing. But with great wealth comes a silent shadow. The country realized early on that relying on oil was like living with a clock on the wall, its hands always moving closer to the end. That's why the Emirates began to diversify: solar energy, tourism, technology. The United Arab Emirates geography was reshaped, with skyscrapers rising where there were once only dunes. Still, every modern tower stands as a reminder of the desert that sustained it. And there's a thought that echoes through the voices of the wise: the future cannot depend on the past. This phrase became almost a national mantra. But what happens when the same fuel that built the future threatens the planet that holds it? Perhaps the answer isn't underground, but in the sea that borders the towers, the same one now reborn through the UAE coral reefs restoration. Few places on Earth hold as much power in such a small space as the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow corridor barely 20 miles wide, through which nearly 20% of the world's oil passes. It's where the United Arab Emirates geography stops being just geography and becomes pure geopolitics. A single imbalance, an intercepted ship, a misread radar, and the world feels the impact at the fuel pumps. For the Emirates, the strait is more than a maritime passage. It's both a lifeline and a sword hanging over the future. Surrounded by Iran, Gulf allies, and global interests, the nation learned to navigate among giants. Like a small anchor in a storm, it became a strategic micropower, discreet yet indispensable. Like this moment, if you've ever realized how real power isn't always visible on maps. And as traffic grows, the sound of engines and radars merges with the silence of the desert. The Arabian Desert secrets and the sea intertwine in a delicate dance. Whoever controls Hormuz controls the flow of global energy. But what if the future no longer depends on this narrow passage? Will the Emirates remain relevant when oil stops being the planet's heartbeat? From above, the Palm Islands look like hand-drawn jewels, symbols of humanity's ambition to master its own geography. Built with billions of tons of sand dredged from the seafloor, they redefined the coastline of the United Arab Emirates geography. Palm Jumeirah, the world blue waters. Each represents a chapter of a dream blending luxury, tourism, and engineering power. But every dream leaves its scars, and here they are: environmental. What began as a symbol of national pride became an ecological dilemma. By reshaping the sea, humans also destroyed part of it. Marine habitats vanished, currents shifted, and coral reefs, already fragile, collapsed under the weight of machines. The UAE hidden geography gained new forms but lost part of its natural soul. And this is where fascination mixes with guilt. Is building a man-made paradise worth the price of a silent sea? Despite criticism, the project continues to inspire other nations to do the same, as if the desert had taught the world to dream too big. The Emirates rebuilt paradise, yes, but in a game that nature is still trying to balance. And when the sand meets the sea again, something whispers beneath the waves. The future may need to return to the heights of the Hajar Mountains, where the desert still breathes in peace. Just a few kilometers from the burning dunes, the Hajar Mountains rise like a geological miracle. Their ridges, formed millions of years ago, are a natural refuge from the suffocating heat of the Arabian Desert secrets. Up there, the wind is cool, the air is dry, and the landscape shifts from gold to bluish gray. It's where the body finds rest, and the mind understands that even the desert needs silence. Among valleys and rocks, live species that have learned to defy the climate. Arabian wolves, foxes, and wildcats camouflaged among the stones. These mountains are living proof that the United Arab Emirates geography is more diverse than it seems from afar. While along the coast, humans rebuild the sea. Here nature still sets the rules. Every orographic storm brings rain born from the sea and dying on the slopes. A brief yet vital cycle. Those who climb to the top grasp the contrast, while cities glitter below. Time in the Hajar Mountains seems to stand still. It's a reminder that not everything needs to be controlled or rebuilt. But what is humanity really seeking at these heights? Rest, redemption, or simply another frontier to conquer? Perhaps the answer lies hidden in an unlikely enclave, where the borders of logic dissolve like sand. Sharjah is a puzzle shaped like a map. Unlike the other Emirates, its territory is scattered across 6 disconnected pieces. And within this political labyrinth lies something even more curious: Nawa, an enclave of the Emirates inside Oman, which itself sits inside the Emirates. It's like a geographical joke the world decided to take seriously, a living reminder of how the UAE hidden geography defies common sense. This complexity was born from ancient tribal alliances, back when borders were defined by wells, caravans, and promises made by word of mouth. When modernity arrived with GPS and treaties, it was already too late to reorganize the past. The result? A mosaic that could only exist in a place where the desert taught the art of coexistence. And the most remarkable thing, despite the confusion, Nawa remains one of the most peaceful borders on Earth. Between mountains and valleys, children cross borders as if walking through their backyard. Life goes on without walls, only curiosity. It's the kind of place that makes travelers rethink what it means to belong, and if one enclave inside another can live in harmony. Maybe the secret lies in the mountains surrounding it, or atop them, where the Jebel Jais UAE Mountains watches silently. At the northern tip of the country, the Jebel Jais UAE Mountains rise like a fortress between the sky and the desert. Standing nearly 6,200 feet tall, it's the highest point in the Emirates, and symbolically, the most introspective. From up there, the contrast is almost poetic. On one side, the endless dunes of the Rub al Khali Desert. On the other, the blue gulf stretches like a liquid mirror. It's a place where time slows down and the wind seems to carry ancient secrets of the United Arab Emirates geography. Travelers who climb to the summit describe something beyond the view, a feeling of clarity, as if the world finally makes sense. Their silence speaks louder than words, and every curve of the road to the top echoes the nation's effort to turn limits into horizons. Jebel Jais is not just a mountain. It's a geographical manifesto, a symbol of the resilience that shaped the destiny of the Emirates. Like or save this moment if you believe every peak is born from a desert. And when the sun sets and the sky turns red, it feels as though the entire country breathes together. The desert, the islands, the sea, and the mountains all connect in a single cycle. But what happens when that cycle begins to dry? What happens when the future depends on finding balance between progress and survival? Maybe that answer is hidden in the last layer of the UAE hidden geography, where even the future must learn to wait for the rain. The desert taught the Emirates that nothing lasts forever. Not oil, not water, not even the shine of its towers. The nation born from sand now faces a silent dilemma: how to keep growing when the very sources that sustain it begin to disappear. The same ground that once revealed the UAE oil fields now demands a new kind of intelligence, not one that extracts, but one that preserves. That is the irony of the UAE hidden geography. Every achievement carries an invisible debt. The Hajar Mountains, the corals fighting to come back to life. The Rub al Khali Desert still holding ancient water. Everything seems to conspire to remind us that prosperity isn't about defeating nature, but learning to coexist with it. The luxury of the cities may reflect the future, but the desert remains the mirror of destiny. And while the world watches the Emirates' brilliance, a new secret begins to emerge, not beneath the sand, but beyond it. Because this dilemma, the struggle to live without what once sustained you, isn't unique to this land. In the heart of Egypt, another desert holds an even older story, and a mystery that could change everything we know about civilizations and time. The Emirates have proven that it's possible to turn a desert into an empire. But now, they face a challenge no investment can solve: time. Oil, water, and even the sand itself are changing, and with them, the country's destiny. The real test won't be technological, but human. How do you keep growing when the past has already been fully mined? Perhaps the future doesn't need more skyscrapers, but deeper roots. Because the desert teaches one truth: those who don't learn to preserve, disappear. And that's the lesson buried beneath the shine of the UAE hidden geography. A reminder that real power doesn't lie in what is built, but in what endures. If you want to keep uncovering the secrets the world tried to hide beneath the sand, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's still much left beneath the surface.